have made it to lesson 10. I think module 1 has 19 lessons. A few of them we are jumping over, but we are into the second half of them at least, so that's a good thing. Lesson 10 asks us to use place value. We know place value. You know it a lot better than you realize you do. Anything about the ones place, the tens place, the hundreds place, the thousands place, all of those things, that is place value understanding. We're going to use that to round. You know.
Multi-digit.
Yeah, no, but see, I just say the word round, and you guys get this look. You know, we're excited about it. They had it too yesterday. I don't know, something in the air. We're all excited about rounding. For sure.
We're so excited.
Yes,
Totally,
okay.
Totally.
So we're going to use our place value understanding to round multi-digit numbers to any place. Now, this is what we have read up here for the last 2 days. Okay. Using real world applications. Now that got added on today. What do you think? Real world applications. What do you think when you see that? Because that sounds all big and fancy, but what do you think that is? Real world applications. What do you think?
Like a word problem and like real world.
Exactly. You know how like a word problem will tell you about something, maybe all these people were going to run a race, and you know this many people finished the race, and this many people didn't finish the race. That's a real world situation, something that could really happen. We see that a lot in our math word problems. So sometimes our math series calls them real world problems or real world applications because we're applying what we know about rounding to something that's really in the world. Okay? People round all the time. How many of you have ever heard somebody say something like, we went to that concert and there was about 1,000 people there. You ever heard somebody say something like that? There was about, you know, I'm trying to think. Maybe you know of a real world situation. Can you think of one? We went to that football game and there was only about 2,000 people there. Now that sounds like a big number, but what if it's one of those giant football stadiums, you know, that holds 100,000? You know, doesn't the Tennessee football stadium, it holds, I think, over 100,000 people. So if there's 2,000 people there, that it does feel very small when they're all in this gigantic stadium. And so there's lots of situations where rounding happens, and we're going to see that a little bit today. We're also going to get just more practice today for rounding. I have really seen you grow through the last few days with this, and you've gotten better and better and better slowly. So a few more, a couple more days of practice, we're going to be even better. So let's jump right here first. Round to any place using any strategy. Now that's kind of the topic here. So on your board, if you would copy this first number, and I'm going to let you know what we're going to do with it. Okay, 900, and you know what? Let's stop. I have realized over the last couple of days we still need to practice reading some numbers together, so let's do that. I want to remind you, even when you read a number this large, put these chunks together. Because sometimes we get kind of lost when there's all these digits. There you go. So put this chunk together. Help me say it. 935,292. Okay. We caught that, didn't we? All right, so it asks you to round to the nearest 100,000. Now it says some other places too, but that's the first one we're going to try. So write this number down, and we're going to round it to the nearest 100,000. This right here, don't worry about right now. We're just starting off rounding that top number. You may choose the strategy or the way that you like best. Rounding to the 100,000s place. Rounding to the 100,000s place. Give you a few more seconds to finish that. Find your target. Alright, so we have basically talked about two different ways to do this, and I want somebody to tell me how to do one way and somebody to tell me how to do the other way. Okay, Reagan, which way did you use today?
I did the dot one.
With the dots, finding the target. Okay, anybody use the number line way?
No. Did it both ways.
Okay. For a second there, I thought maybe y'all didn't hear my question. I was gonna have to say it again. All right, so Mason, walk us through the number line way. Just tell me how to do this.
So the bottom numbers is 900.
But I mean, tell me what to draw and everything. Okay.
And a vertical number line.
Okay.
Horizontal.
Yeah, you could use either, couldn't you? If you like a horizontal number line better and you like to draw it this way, you can always do that. Okay, what would I do next?
Your bottom number is going to be 900,000.
Okay, we are rounding to the 100,000s place. So 900,000 down here. That's how many 100,000s we already have. And I'm going to stop right there and remind you, these are not big enough to be 100,000s. These are not big enough to be 100,000s. If it just said thousands, we would use all of them. Okay? All right, so what's next?
The top number is going to be 1 million.
1 million, because that is, if I added 100,000 to 900,000, I would get 1 million. Okay.
And then your middle number would be 950,000.
Good. 950,000 would be our middle number. Now we have all we need to help us with our number line. So what would I do next?
Draw a dot where you put it.
All right. Raise your hand if you think this number would be in the top half of the number line. Would this number be in the top half? Some think. Would this number be in the bottom half?
I know.
Some think in the bottom half. Okay. If we're at 900,000 right here, and the next time we get to a tick mark, it's 950,000. This is 935,292. It's not big enough to be halfway, so it's right about here. Okay. So when we round this number with a vertical number line, we see that the dot is closer to, go ahead and finish this off, 900,000. Okay. Now coming back to the other way, which a lot of you did today, most of you did today. Go ahead and walk us through that.
I put a dot on the 9 and then I put an arrow next door.
Why did you put a dot on the 9 again?
I put a dot on the 9
Because why?
because that's the place that we're rounding.
That's
to.
the place that we're rounding to. We've got to catch that. What did the directions tell us? What are we rounding
To
to?
round to the nearest 100,000.
Exactly. And so we have found that place. You said draw an arrow. You drew an arrow next door.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And I know that 3 isn't bigger than 9, so it won't push it up.
Okay. Not bigger than 9, but bigger than what number does it start pushing it up. If this were a what?
5.
If this were a
greater.
5 or greater. If this number were 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, it would push this to change. Since it's not, the 9 gets to what? Stay. All those turn to 0. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. Okey-doke. 900,000 this way. 900,000 this way that we can actually see on a number line. Okay. Even if you are now choosing this way, I think y'all are better now at this than you were when we started for sure. Okay? Even if you don't feel great about this way, I think you're still better than when we started. Okay? Remember, this is something in your toolbox that you'll always have to be able to use. This is too. Okay, go ahead and clear your board. We're going to move on from there. Great idea. Did y'all hear what Mason said? He had done the other way first, but then he used the number line to check his work. In Module 3, when we get there in another few weeks, some of the things that we'll be talking about, I am going to ask you to normally check your work. It makes you feel better that you know you've gotten it right. Okay, you feel more confident in it. Let's go back to where we were. We're going to go ahead and move to this right here. Okay, and for today, we're not going to worry with this right here, but we're going to take care of this. Now, this is a real world application. This is a real world situation or problem. Somebody want to read that for us nice and loud? Reagan, go ahead.
In the year 2012, there were 935,292 visitors to the White House.
Okay. Predict
the number of the White House maps needed for visitors in 2013.
Okay, so in the year before, when they counted up all the people that had come to visit the White House, it was this many. Every time somebody comes in, they hand them a map. A map for a building? Yeah. And it would, it's a big building with lots of important places and rooms. And so you get this map which shows you or tells you about each room. And that way, if you get somewhere in the house and you need to be somewhere else, you can find your way out, or you can find your way to where you need to be. So we're going to predict how many they would need for the next year. Usually, what they have one year is kind of close to what they have the next year, unless there's a big change. Do you think in 2020 there will be some big changes in numbers to places that people visit?
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. People aren't quite as able to get out and do as much as we did before. We're trying to be safe that way. Doesn't mean we can't do anything. It just means things are a little different, and they probably don't allow as many in at a time. I'm not even sure if you can visit the White House this year. I really haven't heard. Anyway, what do you think we need to do to figure this out? Sometimes when you get a word problem, one of the biggest things is just to sit and think about it for just a second and kind of figure out what needs to happen. What do you think, Charlie? You think we need to round it? Okay. So Charlotte says if we round this number, we'll have maybe we know it'll be, about how many they needed in 2012. Could that be about how many they need in 2013? It could be. Anybody want to add something to that? Go ahead.
I would like to add on to what Charlotte said, because we can round, but we don't know what we're rounding.
Okay. So this is all part of that thinking. First, we kind of form an idea. Then you might start looking for the information you need, and Reagan just said they didn't tell us what to round to. Now, let's stop for just a second. I want you to hear this. There might be problems that you get sometimes, and they don't tell you what to round to. if that happens, this is what you round to. If that happens and they didn't say round it to the 10,000s, then you round it to the place value that is the biggest or the farthest. What am I doing wrong here?
On that
Yeah. I don't know. Let me click it off and turn it back on. Sometimes that'll. Okay. All right, let me say that one more time. If they do not tell you a place to round to, then you round to the biggest place value of that number. Okay? So what place would we be rounding to, Gage? What is the biggest place value? The 100,000s. Okay? So right now on your board, let's write this number. Now this doesn't say 2020, so we're going to assume that lots of visitors are coming every year. Okay. You got an answer or you have a question? Okay.
the problem that we just did, like before this one, is the same number as that other one.
Okay. I wondered when somebody was going to say that out loud. This is a number we've just used. That's okay. That answer probably just fell right out of our head. Maybe it didn't. Okay, go ahead and round this to the 100,000 place. Just hang on to that number for just a second. But then you could check it. Make sure you're right. Interesting that some of you now are using the other way than a different way than what you used the first time. All right, what did we get for our rounded number? When you rounded this to the 100,000 place, Miranda, what'd you get?
900,000.
900,000. If you agree with her, let her know. If maybe you got the same thing. Okay, good. It is 900,000. But let me ask you a question. Is that if they call up the map people and say, "Hey, map people, hey, map people, we're gonna need some new maps for the next year, and we're gonna need 900,000." Because that's about how many people came last year. Do you think that will be a safe number to give them?
No.
No? But that's what we rounded to. Why do you say no?
Because they're missing 292 maps.
Okay, not only that.
3,000. Oh
Okay, so they're, in other words, they won't have enough, will they? Were you going to say basically the same? Okay, if this many people came and they rounded it to this, are they going to have enough if the same number of people come? No. So I don't know if rounding was the best thing to do in this situation. Now, we left this alone at first, but what it says is, would it change your answer if you knew that in the year 2011, there were 998,250 visitors to the White House? Let me write that up here. It's just so small. All right, in 2011, this many people came. Okay. In 2012, this many people came. So what was happening to the numbers? One year, this many came. The next year, this many came. What was happening to the numbers?
It was going down by.
Well, that's a big subtraction problem, but it was going down, wasn't it? Okay. The numbers were going down. You know, if they think the numbers are going to go down again, is this a safe number? Probably. But they're predicting, okay? Predicting. So they may not be sure if the numbers are going to be lower again this year. So again, this might not be the safest number to go with, okay? All right, let's keep moving for today. We're going to move on to the next problem. Some of the word problems in our problem set even we will do today, and some of them we're not going to touch today because they start getting into skills that are a little bit beyond 4th grade. And so our main thing today is to get a little more rounding practice. We'll do a couple of these word problems. We are going to do this one. Okay, so let's read this together. All right, read that for us nice and loud. Somebody. Martin, go ahead.
2,837 students attended Lincoln Elementary School. How would you estimate the number of chairs needed for the school?
Okay. So the question, we always find that question, how would you estimate the number of chairs needed in the school? Estimate. We've not seen that word a whole lot. What is that word kind of cluing us that we're going to be doing?
Rounding.
Yes, exactly. If you see estimating or if you hear words like about how many, you're going to be rounding more than likely. Okay? So we're going to estimate how many what that they need.
Chairs.
What are we trying to figure out?
Chairs.
Chairs. Now, would you like it? You're a student in an elementary school. Would you like it if you showed up to school and they said, oh, you know what? When we ordered chairs, we just kind of guessed how many we needed, and I'm sorry, you won't have one this year.
No.
Would you like that?
No, I would just
I
get
don't
out of school.
As much as we like to be out of our seats sometimes, I don't think anybody would like that
That much.
permanently. Right, exactly. So my point.
That's like 8 hours.
Exactly. My point is, everybody needs a chair, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, how would we estimate the number of chairs that we need? How would we estimate? What would we do here?
Round.
Round what?
2,000 to the nearest.
2,000 because it doesn't say it. You said
Okay, it doesn't say what to round to. We do go to the biggest place value, the largest place value. So right now on your board, I want you to estimate using the number 2,837. You may choose the way you do this. What place are we rounding to, everybody?
1,000.
How do you know that?
Because it's the biggest number.
Because it's the biggest place value we have, and they didn't what?
And they didn't say.
Okay, hold on. They didn't what?
They didn't say to round to an even number.
Yeah, they didn't tell us what place to round to, so we're going to round to the largest place that there is. The 1,000 place. Okay. Go ahead and get that done, please. What's wrong with me? We'll just slide that to the side. Okay. All right, so some of you are even checking yourself with the other way because you have time. Come over here. This number doesn't change. This number is the sign that tells this number to change. This digit changes. All of these become. Okay. All right, what did we round this number to?
3,000.
You got 2 of them, so I know we're good. Bailey, what'd you get? Okay, so 2,837 is about, remember that wiggly looking equal sign, 3,000. would we be safe and have plenty of chairs if we bought 3,000 and there was this many students?
Yes.
Yes, we would even have a few extra, wouldn't we? Which is good because sometimes chairs break, more students come, lots of reasons. All right, now this isn't printed up here, but I want you to see something. So I'm gonna erase that, and I'm gonna change our number, and I want it to say 2,337. Okay, 2,337. Now listen to what I'm fixing to do. Okay, put your eyes up here, please. Okay, our hands. Yeah, let's sit up. There you go. If 2,337 students attend this school, how would you estimate the number of chairs? Would we round? Well, we would, to get an approximate number. And right now, I want you to go ahead and round that number. And some of you may already see what I'm getting at, but I want everybody to see it. Okay? So this time we're rounding 2,337 to the nearest what, everybody? What place are we rounding to? Thousands place. Will, what did you get this time? 2,000 potatoes. 2,000. We didn't put our label on there last time, and we do need to remember that goes along with the word problem. So 2,000 is what we round to. Would it be safe to buy 2,000 chairs?
No.
Why not?
Because there's more than 2,000 students. There's more than 337 students.
So when you buy chairs, if you had to buy them in groups of 1,000, and if this is how many students you have, you might round to that, but you're going to need to add another 1,000, aren't you, just to be safe, to make sure everybody gets a chair. Even if there's extras, and later on in the year, we will have some problems like this where there's kind of some leftovers. You know, that 337, they kind of want to sit down too, don't they?
Yeah.
So we need to buy one extra set of 1,000 to make sure everybody's
Sometimes that's good.
got a chair. And that's just one of those real world situations. You might actually have a job one day where you are in charge of buying things or making sure everybody has what they need. And you might need to do some rounding in your job.
Just make sure you get extra because sometimes
That's right.
you need some.
Just make sure the number is larger than
Yeah.
what you actually need. That's a good point. Okay, so we are already at our problem set. So if you would go ahead and clear your board.
That was fast.
It was, and part of the reason this is faster today is, one, we're practicing something we have already worked on for lots of days, and two, some of the word problems, like I said, kind of go into 5th grade things. We're just not going to go that far with it, so we might practice 1 or 2 of them.
Great, that's the end of the year.
So our main thing on our problem set we're going to get is just rounding practice. All right, so this is what it's going to look like. There are no number lines drawn. This is more like yesterday's page. If you want the number line, then you may draw it. If it won't fit on the side, then you may get some scratch paper. Okay, I need your eyes up here. Let's see. Okay, we're not putting anything away right now. I need your eyes up here. Okay. because this, for some reason, the way this is done in the book has always confused folks. I want to make sure we get what we're doing. Okay, let's lay everything down for just a second. This says round this number. I'll write it larger. Round 543,982 to the nearest, and then it has 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. You're using the same number each time. I'm going to round this number to the thousands place and put my answer. I'm going to round this number to the 10,000s place. A whole new problem, and put my answer. I'm going to round this number to the 100,000s place. Okay. Sometimes you might get the same answer, and sometimes it's going to be very different. Now, when you get down here, they start giving you a separate number, but I wanted to make sure you got this right here. Okay? There is a number for each of these. It's the same number. You just start over each time and round to a new place. Any questions about that? I just want to make sure that makes sense. Okay. The next, and it just continues on. This number rounded to the nearest 1,000 is blank. This number rounded to the nearest 10,000 is blank. So what you're rounding to will change. I would circle that if I were you. I would make sure I see that. Okay. When you get to through with that, and it's not going to take you might look at that and go, wow, that's a lot, but it's not going to take you as long as you think. When we get, I believe it's the back of that page, you start seeing word problems. I want you to just do the first one. Okay? Now, if you get done way early and you want to attempt the other ones, great. If not, you can skip to the homework page and do a few extra just rounding practice. Okay? But I do want everybody to try that first one. Okay? All right, I'll leave that up there to remind you. Let's do this. Let's take our restroom break. We'll come back and get started on this. So if you would put your mask on and let's spread out, make our line.